Hello YouTubers, it is Saturday, play day in the shop. What's going on? Well, I got a furnace that we put in last year. You see the thermostat, I put it way up there on the wall. I keep it set at 40 degrees so that stuff in here won't freeze. When I come out here to work, I'll crank it up to about 70. And I'll let it run till it shuts off. When it shuts off, I've come over here right behind me on the wall, and there's a thermometer, and it'll be about 50 at about my elbow level. While that's warming up, I've built a fire there, and as soon as it's 70, I'll shut the furnace off and I'll let the wood burner keep it warm in here. And then after I get the fire going, I get the coffee brewing with some holy crap, that's good coffee, Odyssey coffee. I keep it out here for my special shop days. Let's talk ladders. This ladder is the one I've been using out here in the shop. I've been pretty nervous using it because, whoa, let me put this camera down a minute. I've been pretty nervous using this ladder. Heck darn it, open up. What the heck? There it is. You can see it's pretty shaky. Several of the steps have now got cracks in them. But I'm a pretty sentimental guy, if you didn't know. And on the bottom of this step right here, it's got my grandpa's name. The address where he lived when he bought it, and the date he bought it. 7/5/57. Now I've been using this ladder for over 30 years. But when I'm getting up here on the ladder, putting this stuff away way up here, and it's shaking, and it's creaking and cracking, and I'm thinking I don't bounce like I used to, I think it's time to retire the ladder. I think what I'm going to do is just knock that one step off that's got that information on it, hang it on my antique wall, and get rid of the ladder. Breaks my heart to do it, but I just can't see. You can even see that step wobbling. It's just not worth it for me to hurt myself. I might keep this step too because it's got the colors on it that my grandpa painted his house where he lived. We've got two other wooden ladders and they're both about in the same shape. So the other day I broke down, went out, and purchased a new ladder. This is one of those fiberglass ones with the aluminum steps. Good and solid, safe. I won't hurt myself unless I just plain fall off of it. It's good for, I think, 300 pounds. Yeah, 300 pounds. So I think I'm good. This will last me. Now you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip it upside down, write my name, write the address, and write the date I bought it on the bottom of that step right there, just like Grandpa did on this one. So that's one of my projects for today. I'll show you another thing I've been working on. This is my woodworking and my machining shop. I'm not a very good machinist. I've never had any training in it. I'm learning by screwing stuff right the second or third or fourth time. So let me show you something here. My goal is a bullet swaging press. This is the very top of the press. You'll have two guide rods here. Let me turn this around so I can see what I'm pointing at. Two guide rods here that go down to the lower part of the press, which is this piece right here. Thought I'd make it a little fancy. I'll have holes here drilled to mount it to a workbench. There will be holes here to match up with this. These slots go past the sides, and there'll be a ram that comes up and down here, and this is where your dies and stuff screw in up here. That in there I screwed up. First of all, I gotta put a swing arm that hangs down here, and there will be a pin that comes in from the side with a bearing on it so that swing arm can swing when you're running the press at the bottom. It swivels to keep this aligned, the ram aligned. Well, I didn't think there was enough room here to suit me for the pin to go into and still have room for the bolt to go through that. This will be going in there, and that's the bushing for the ram to go up and down. So I decided to make the whole thing bigger. This wasn't originally the bottom because of course your swing arms wouldn't pass. So I made this one. And I'm going to run the pins in here. And I was going to put set screws out here to hold the pins in place for the swing arms to swing on. Well, two mistakes on this one. First of all, I put the edge of this as the center of these slots, which that screwed it up, so they needed to be farther out. And when I had drilled and tapped these before I cut those, and I got them too close, and I don't know if you can see it, but the threads are into here. So I got attempt number 3 over there in my mill right now, and that's going to be my project on the machining. Let's go over and take a look at that one. Okay, here's my third attempt at this. I'm going about it a little differently than I did the other ones. I located my edge and came to center, and then I located this edge, and then I worked my way across with my drill chuck in the mill. And I drilled 3 holes, then I drilled and tapped that, then I drilled that. I drilled this, and I drilled it bigger. I think that's an 1 1/8 hole. I still have to go larger because it has to be tapped at 1 1/2, 12. Then I drilled that 1/2 inch, then I drilled this and tapped it, and then I drilled these 3 holes. This will be the little set screws that hold the pin, the 1/2 inch pin that comes in, and then it'll have a bearing, a pin, not a roller bearing, it's a needle bearing that has the swing arm that goes down to the bottom of the press. So my next step is going to be switching my chuck out for the thing that holds my mill, which is right here. That's what that looks like. That'll go up in there instead of that drill chuck. That's 9/16 mill. I'll mill these out, and then I'll put my boring head in, bore that out to the right diameter, and then run my tap down in it, which is a tough job. 1 1/2 tap is harder to turn. So that's where I'm at on that project, and after I take care of the ladder, I'm going to get started on this, and I'm going to start drinking coffee and listening to music and just enjoy my day out here in the shop. Well, hallelujah. Third time was a charm. I got the slots for the swing arms milled in. I drilled the hole in the ends for these pins, I guess you'd call them. I milled a little flat on here for the set screw. I bored this out and have it tapped 1 1/2, 20 for the That's actually the size, if you were going to load 50 BMG, that's the size the dies are for that. I'm going to have to make an adapter to go down to I forget what size right offhand, but for the swaging dies that go in there. This is the little needle bearing that the swing arm will be on, which will be inside of here. All fits real nice and snug. So I'm just going to slide this back in here, put the bearing back in the box so it stays clean. I've always wanted to get into bullet swaging, but the presses were so expensive. The press that I'm copying would have cost $500, and the actual Corbin press is over $1,000. So by doing this myself and making my own dies, hopefully I can do it. I don't know. We're going to give it a shot. I can play around with it. You can make your own cast bullets by swaging them rather than casting them, or you can take a cast bullet and turn it into a hollow point. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with one of these presses. I think the next step is going to be getting the holes drilled in the base here that match up. They're 3.5 apart to the centers, and then the hole for the ram to come up right here in the middle, which will be 1.25 inch diameter inside. This is, I believe, 1.5 inches. Yeah, 1.5 inches. So I will have to get those 3 holes taken care of, and then drill some holes in here for mounting on the bench. I have the toggle. This is the first toggle I made, but it's for the smaller size press. You can see that these slots don't line up with those slots, but that's what it's going to look like. Your ram mounts in here, your toggle's over here, then your handle would be here to operate it. That's where I'm at. I gotta make another one of these before I can start that, and the actual ram has a lot of work that gets done on it. But I'm not going to show you the machining process because it's hard enough for me to concentrate and get it right without trying to film it. Plus, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just doing it. And I make mistakes, and I don't want anyone to try to do anything that I'm doing because I might be doing it wrong. But hopefully the end product will work. Thanks for watching.